Hello and welcome back to Make It Go. I am in the process of making a little note application at the moment, so I can keep track of where I want to make it go. At the moment, I can create notes and store them in PostgreSDB. That's what I'm using for my backing store at the moment. So I can save a note. I can create a new note. So functionality I need to add is going to be the ability to fetch a note and the ability to list every note in the system so I can see them. At some point I'll have to add a limit to that, but since I'm the only one creating notes, I doubt I will have to do that immediately. It's a feature I can postpone building because it's not part of, well, it's not an immediate need, and I will make that when I have to. So add little pieces. Always build little pieces, that way you don't lose track of what you're going, or lose motivation. I also, now that I'm in here, I don't like that this guy lives inside of this, so we're gonna move all this stuff out. Then I looked at my guy and I was like, I don't like this. Yeah. There you go. That's better. Okay. Now then, I'm gonna have to start packaging some stuff up. There's just don't look in there. There's too much stuff. Everything doesn't fit into nice little things. Find a note. Note. Okay. So this is note creator. Let's call it note finder. Tortoise is demanding my credentials. I will give it them. If you notice, it password protected my username and then displayed it to you. I'm okay with you knowing my username on a local box, because I doubt that helps anyone find me. Yes, I am on a .1 subnet. And .108 is the machine that acts as my little server. Okay, so now we need a note finder. We got a note creator, we got a note finder. Now he's going to implement executable. He's going to get a public interface. Find note request. It's going to extend request. All I believe I need is an integer. So integer get note ID. We'll make our executable of this type. Make the method. We are now going to need to find a note. So now I don't want to be in a transaction because I'm strictly a pull. So I will need to go over here and in transaction, we're going to copy that guy. Okay. Java class. In connection. Oh. Because I still need absolutely all of this boilerplate nonsense. I just don't need it. There we go. And now I don't have this. I don't have that. I have a finally close, but I don't have a commit. So strictly speaking now, I can use you. Turn in I'm going to make this a bit more broad because it's going to be exception. Key result. Okay, so right now I'm just doing a little. Right, so we're going to wrap everything that this guy does in a new legal state and toss it up. This is E1, this is E. That way we can see it. There we go. So I have all of my connection E nonsense in connection. I then go bundle it up. Look, generics are awesome-ish. There we go. I don't actually know if I made that any more clear, but I did mean I only have the nonsense for closing the connection one spot now. There we go. So now I don't find her. He's going to. Well, he's gonna need public static class note response. It's gonna get an identifier. Yeah, I'm assuming it's gonna HTTP response code 200. There we go. Okay. So now we need to build one of those. Well, in transaction or in connection. Run. Sure, new. What did I call that sucker? Find note. Find request get node ID. And I don't need those. Note. Okay, so now we have to build our note response off of that guy. This is assuming we always find it. I should also handle the case in which it's not present. I need to start doing something about this because right now I can't mock this out very easily in test. Because I am just relying on dependencies. So I have no way of injecting dependencies for this guy. Could start moving those constructors to static-y space? Static-ier space? And that way I would be able to do some stuff like that. I don't know. I'll have to figure that out later, but for now, simple, straightforward use case. It strikes me that I have not yet turned on my tomato timer. All sorts of bad's happening right now. So approximately 10 minutes have passed. So we are down to 20 something. There we go. 20. 8. Go. Timer on. Okay. So I need to translate from my database object into my HTTP response, which should be relatively straightforward. Okay. Let's make a builder pattern. I grab my note. We're going to shove it over to this screen, secondary monitor, so I can read off the list and put the fields I care about into Note Finder. Okay. Response. It has a note ID, a parent note ID, a string subject. Okay. Well, then let's see how this goes. Integer, note ID, integer, parent, note ID. You might be asking why I'm not just using my string text, my object that I already built, and just annotating it. So I don't want to annotate my database access object because it should be as close to a POJO as possible. Because I don't like sharing my database model with my front-end model because they have entirely different purposes. One is to render things out to the screen. So this is like where I perform any additional formatting or any other weird logic that I need, and I don't want to have to worry about affecting the object I'm using for or adding additional methods to my database object, because the data I store in the database is different from the data I display to the user, because there's any number of transformations that can occur between the time I pulled the object out of the database and the time I rendered it down to the user. In fact, it could entirely be a different structure that I'm rendering down to the user than what I normalized in the database, because you don't necessarily want how I normalized an object to be the object you get. And if that makes sense, you will understand why I'm doing what I'm doing. If it doesn't, you will think I'm crazy. But I can't do anything about that. Constructor. So none. We're going to take one of these because I'm okay with that. Note. Note ID. Note.get note ID. You also notice I'm not unit testing anything at the moment, which you may be like, hey, what happened? I don't know. I have no real good answer for why I am not. I should be, but at the same time, I am actually just unpacking and repacking data, so I don't know that it warrants a unit test, because this is getters and setters, and this is something I can test with my eyes. If it just works, it works. It would, however, catch what happens if a note's not found, because right now I believe my find will just explode. Yeah, we're gonna have to do some work on that behavior. So maybe I will later. So that's also raises the question, do I wish to have a way of mocking out this data? Because right now, this is a hard point to mock out. Because I said new, I can't actually test this method. No way to test this. So sad. Also, I may want to switch to using like a null object pattern, so I can be like, hey, note, not found note. Note not present. And it'll just send you back the same type of request, or a different response, even. So, new note response. And then we give it note. Note creator response. No. New one of these suckers. There we go. There we go. There we go. Okay, now we need to go to our web. Note endpoint. Note finder. Grab the class name. Note endpoint. We will want to get use note finder. Where's my imports? Perform a clean build. And let's go see if we can find us a note. I will, well, that's clean build then. Open up data group. And because I seem to recall I saved one last time, I don't remember its ID, which means I should probably implement a list. So from a note can be created and you can be retrieved. Those are my current operations for note. We will see what we get in my database. So we've built spool up to make it go. I apologize if things are lagging a bit. They are for me. My machine's a little bit old. Don't share. I don't want to. Okay. The note stored in the database is note ID number 39. So now we pull up a web browser. We'll go to localhost to make it go. Inspector. Run. There we go. Shh. I'm talking here. Hello. So right now we're gonna call get. Run. My node ID of 39 is what I was going with. Get node ID. Yes, it's node ID of 39. We'll see if that returns what I expect it to return. That's what I want. Hey, it didn't explode. It also didn't package anything in there because I didn't annotate anything, which would make sense. And now you're thinking, if you would have had a unit test, you would have got that. And well, maybe. No, I wouldn't have, because there's no way I could particularly catch those mistakes. However, it did route correctly, I assume. I don't necessarily know that it found anything. Subject. I mean, there's probably a machine. I don't know. We will see. Build. And those dates are going to be formatted all sorts of wonky. Okay. Another clean build. Turn off my server, dude. Check my time, see how I'm doing. 12 minutes. At some point, I need to start styling this, because having an empty page is a bit sad. I need to figure out how I'm going to do that. Well, the current thing I looked at was looking at Emperor, and then based off how I'm actually building my endpoints at, they would fly. So I may end up playing like a crazy person with making my own everything. Which is going to be sad to watch because, again, JavaScript is not one of my favorite languages. Okay, so we're up. Alien build, start it. To make it. Then, okay, we're up. Node ID, haha, there it is. That's not a timestamp format anyone uses. That's just the standard 2-string on. Hey, no. Look, everything routed together correctly in a way that makes sense. And it was even parsed by Chrome. There we go. That's neat. Okay, so now I'm going to need a list so I can display multiple notes. List is probably going to display just the subject and an abbreviated form of the note text, like maybe 144 characters or so. Pick 144 off the top of my head. That's just some arbitrary limit I made up. We'll have to do a little bit of work there to not truncate mid-word. It also raises some questions if I want sort of markup in there. Means I can't have end in close to X because I have to grab the whole thing. I don't know. We will see how this goes. So now I have a couple of things I can do. I can fix my date formatting, pick a consistent date going out, which I should probably do. Or I can start in on rendering some notes to a page. That's a tough call, because I don't particularly want to start playing JavaScript land. Because I don't have any plans at the moment for how I want to structure my layout of my page. So for now, we're going to continue in Java land. Because Java land is the more friendlier land with types. And I could test, okay, so step one, let's figure out a way of injecting things for my test so I can get rid of stuff like this. So I can have the in connection and transaction stuff in my logic, because this is important that this happens in a connection, and it is important to say that I create my note in a transaction, because that is actually going to come up later if I ever have to save complex objects, and part of it has a way of failing, so I need to be like, hey, everything in this code block happens in a transaction. Everything in this code block, or everything in this code block just happens in a standard connection. So if you save, you saved. Without any wire. What you wrote to the database was written to the database. Also gives me a way of starting to separate out if I ever want like a read-only database or a write-only database. Maybe. If any of that makes sense. So, now then. We would need a way of requesting these objects. I could ask for the class. Because I do need to wrap some of this stuff in test. So for example, this object also needs to validate, like, you can't send up null subjects or null nodes. But now, step one, let's write a list. Simplest thing to do. Find note. Find a note. We're going to have a find all, it's going to return a list. I also need to structure this in a way that makes better sense. Okay. Well, now I have an interesting problem. Because I can't actually test the number of elements I get back out of that list. So we'll just have to say that it's... Yeah, we'll... Okay. Step one, write the test. Public void test find all. It's going to be a test. Okay, I'm going to run all of this. Don't care about any of these asserts. I don't care about the IDs. Note, I'll make this note 2. I'll make this note 1. Okay. Then we have a new note finder. I find note. Takes the connection. We're going to ask it to find all. And I expect that to return a list of note. This will be notes. And the only thing I can really say about that is that, well, note 1. Actually, that's 2. Note 2. Note 2 ID. We will make this note 1 ID. And I will step 1 assert true, because I can't guarantee what's in there unless I trunk the table, which I don't particularly want to do. Notes.size is greater than 0, because that means my test suite would be harmful. Right now it's going to explode out on a pointer because I'm not doing anything. Okay. So now it's actually just going to be all of that. Whole thing. Except in this case, we don't have a where. No where. No object one. And this becomes a file. Array list of note. Turn notes. Notes.add. Note. There we go. This is no longer possible because I'll always return an empty list. Tarso says it. Or I'll always return a throw exception. There we go. Okay. That is that. Let's go check my test. Look, I copied and pasted code. I feel bad. And I now feel like I need to start doing something to start handling this sort of stuff, because I don't like that this is duplicate code. So if I have to change, if I do add another column and note, I have to now modify two queries and two mappings. So I'm going to have to definitely do something about that, because that's going to grow out of hand quickly. So now I should say it is at least greater than or equals 2. I should find two things. There we go. And at this point, I'm just going to say that's good. I'm going to pretend that my mapping logic is all the same for the result set. Hey, I didn't say I wrote good tests. Just said that I wrote some. So right now, this is a data layer test. I'm not actually happy with it. I'm not happy with how I'm handling this at the moment. So we will need to come back and do that. But first, I'm gonna write some bad stuff to get me a little bit of progress into a place where I can start getting more ideas of how this should work. So I'm going to write a lot of things, and then I'm going to make similar things similar, and that should give me a way for factoring as I go. In connection, in transaction, manufacturing, like that. Find note, total take. So things in data package need to be changed. So note finder. This means I would have a note lister. That's going to implement executable. It's going to get its own public interface. Note list request. It's going to extend request. It's not going to have anything in it. I can't just use base note list request. I can't, from last week we learned that I can't just use the base object. So now, we're going to pull this up to an object because they both should return the same form. Except this guy is going to note lister respond public static class response. It's going to get an add identifier note list. It's going to get an add HTTP response code of 200. And it's going to have a list of note response. I'm going to share the response because anything in the other one should. So if I change the other one, I should change this one too because you should get something. Something for. Well, no, maybe we'll do it for now. We'll send out all the data, and then I will decide if I want how I want to handle that later. Look at me postponing all of my decisions. Okay. Notes. Yeah, we'll ask for that in the construction. Have an identifier. This will do notes. My time is now up. And I will continue finishing this up next time. And hopefully next time, after I finish this up, we will start. I will have done a bit of thinking about how I want to handle some JavaScript so I can start actually displaying notes on the page of where I want to go. All that fine jazz. And then after that, I will have to go into getting at least a user for some sort of authentication system for me so that I can modify notes and start posting things to my site where I have notes on how I want, what I'm trying to do, where I'm going to go. Then that should give me a place to start keeping track of what I'm doing in the site now that it's getting a bit more complicated. And it's actually getting to the point where I can do things. So thank you for watching. This has been an episode of To Make It Go. I believe this is timer and a conclusion of timer something. 15, end of timer 15.